bartering almost feels like shady, right? Like you're trying to cheat somebody, you're trying to get a deal, you're trying to screw them over. Jammer said here in the chat, let me pull this up. He said earlier, how do you barter with friends without making them feel screwed? And I think this is one of those things we have sort of this, at least I do, this mentality that, hey, I don't want to, bartering almost feels like shady, right? Like you're trying to cheat somebody, you're trying to get a deal, you're trying to screw them over. And it's really not that way, right? But that's kind of the feeling we have about all this stuff.
Well, and to Jammer's question, there's two things I would say about that. The first one is, and this is gonna sound so bad, when you're done with the trade, no matter how you feel about it, never say, "Man, I got the better end of that deal." Just don't say it. Whether you feel that way or not, just don't say it. And the second thing is, when you're dealing with friends, the friendship is as much the equation as the value of whatever your trading is. And you have to decide, at some point, you got to be willing to take less than what you would from a stranger just because they're your friends. And that's why I'm really big on this one. Man, we've got our friends and family values for stuff. And if you're friends and family, what we expect in trade or in monetary compensation is not nearly as much as what we expect from a stranger. So you got to be willing to make some sacrifices. If you don't want your friends to feel like you're screwing them over, you got to be willing to do that, right? That doesn't mean you let them walk all over you, because inadvertently they might, but you got to be willing to give and take a little bit there.
Yeah. And friends will have a little bit more leeway as well. So if they are in a dire situation, they don't have anything to barter yet, maybe they're waiting for harvest or something like that. Right. You're more willing to, help that person out if you've got a little bit of extra, knowing that they're a trustworthy person. They're going to repay you when they can. Whereas a perfect stranger, it's going to be no dice. Sorry about your luck, bro. You're not getting any of my stuff. So, yeah.
Well, and here's something else. And it took me 12 years to learn this, seriously. Because we've been dealing with this community for 12 years. There is no ledger, right? When we do stuff with people, we do not keep a ledger, and that was something I was extremely guilty of. Where I was like, I don't want to do that because I don't want to feel like I owe that person something. And Darren from Hacks from the Homesteader and Tag and Data and everybody that's involved in our community constantly saying, dude, there's no ledger. All right, we don't keep track of this stuff because in the long run, it's gonna even out, Mm-hmm. And if they're true friends and you start taking advantage of them, they'll let you know. They won't get mad. They'll just be like, hey, dude, you need to cough up something here, right?
Yeah, or they'll just ignore you and say, I ain't doing business with you anymore, buddy.
We've done that. We've done that with some people.